Welcome, Army Wrestling fans, to episode 1 of the Bhaw Army Wrestling radio show. I'm Jordan Tom, followed with Brian Rowan. What's up, B-Row?
How's it going, Jordan? I'm excited to get this situated. Kevin should be dialing in here in the next minute or two. He's refilling his beverage, he said, so he'll be hopping on here. I'm excited to get talking on wrestling.
Yeah, I'm excited too, B-Row. Before we get Coach on, just to recap the season for all the listeners, Coach Ward's finishing up his 6th year as the head coach of the Army team. He's got 4 wins over Navy, 4 in a row to be exact, and that's a first for the program history. They finished 13th nationally in the dual season, 3rd in the conference tournament at EAWAs, and we qualified 7 guys for the NCAA tournament. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get to see how it played out, but I think we had quite a few guys that would have been right there for that All-American honors. And it was a great year. A lot of success, a lot of firsts for the program, and we're moving in a really fun direction. I look forward to talking with Coach Ward, and it looks like he's getting on right now.
There, but Kevin, how's it going?
B-Row, what's happening?
What's up, Coach?
We're live now.
All right, I'm with Tom and B-Row. What's up, fellas?
Not too much. This quarantine here.
There's no other place I'd rather be while we're sheltering in place.
Awesome. Well, Jordan, I'll let you kind of start.
Yeah, we're going to get into a lot of things tonight, Coach. So I want to talk about the near future of the program when we look at graduation and summer training, kind of what it looks like for all those guys that are still at the academy. And then when we talk future, we'll look at next year's team, maybe talk some recruits. And then we got some other stuff on the dock for you that will be a little bit of a surprise when we talk some West Point vocabulary.
Yeah, man, can't wait. I'll cover everything that I can actually answer for you. So I'm pumped to be chatting with some guys that actually know, like, down to the granular level what wrestling at West Point's all about, what Bhaw's all about. So to be able to share everything that's going on with our program now, I'm pumped to be able to do it.
Awesome. Well, I guess when you were starting at West Point, like when you first got there and you first learned about Bhaw, what was I guess it like? How was it messaged to you? Like, who did you hear it from? I can start there.
Yeah. So it's you got to remember that I showed up as the head coach on August 1st, I think it was. So cadets pretty much. There may have been a PIAD going on. Beast was definitely going on. And I do remember back one of my first visits to the academy once I'd been hired. There was mass athletics that night. So I had traveled from Arkansas where I was living and traveled all day to get up to West Point. And as soon as I walked in the wrestling room, one of the plebes going through Beast was like, "Oh, hey, you want to wrestle?" So that was like my first, I'd probably got up at like 4:00 that morning, but so did he probably, and traveled up there and I walk in, like the first thing he's like, "Hey man, you want to wrestle?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." Or he clubbed me on the side of the head really hard. But anyways, I get carried away there, but even then, Bhaw was written on the wall of the wrestling room. So your first exposure is when you first walk into the wrestling room. But like anything else, it's words on the wall until you actually know what it represents, and then you see people actually living it out. So, there was an assistant coach at the time, Paul Young, and he was a fantastic assistant coach. And one of the probably the best thing that he did that helped me early on is he said, "I know you want to make changes." Because every head coach does. When you take over a program, you want to bring your flavor to it, right? It's no disrespect to what happened before. It's just like if you're going to take over a program, you want to put your stamp on it, and you want to do that early. You want to come in being assertive with what you think is important, being respectful of the past, but being assertive about what you want. He said, "I know you're going to want to do that, but you really need to keep this. Like, it's not even worth thinking about getting rid of it. It's so ingrained and these guys love it so much. So we're getting ready for like our first team meeting when I show up, and we're printing out a packet, to give to the guys. And he was like, if you would just watermark that with Bhaw or put it at the bottom, as like a footer on the packet you're handing, he's like, the guys would love it. They would think it's sick. So I did. So early on, I just kind of adopted it without understanding it. But it's one of the smartest things that Paul was able to talk me into doing. So I'm glad I did. So, I mean, my first exposure was right away, but then, the longer you're here, the longer you realize that it's not just words on the wall, it's not just something people say, it's a way that people live. So it's been really cool to kind of learn it and see how much it means to people.
That's cool. Has it, I never heard that before too. Like nobody's ever, I don't even know if you've shared that with in a forum before, but that was the first
No,
time.
I don't share this info with just anybody, just you guys.
You heard it here
So
first.
has it like progressed at all? Like, or at least your opinion of it, or is it the concept changed at all? Throughout your time you've been there?
Yeah. So, I mean, the words are the same. I think, it's like one of the old adage, the truth never changes. It's part of who we are as a program, and it's part of what we do. So there's been no reason to add to it, subtract from it. We love what it represents. So under every single day for me too, and every wrestler about, hey, if this is what we're going to be about, let's make sure that we're being about it. Don't talk about it, be about it. If it says warrior, then be a warrior, not a Boy Scout. If it says you're going to be a brotherhood, then, you're going to find a way to make it work with that guy, even if you can't stand him. Because that's part of being family. You don't like your family all the time, but you got to love them. So it's just a constant reminder, and it's a work in progress every single day. But we love it, and we think it's a work in progress that's worth it. So we think it's really cool.
That's really cool. When I guess looking back at your time at Oklahoma State, wrestling, or being an assistant there, or even when you were at Washington Baptist, did they have any kind of similar mottos, concepts, anything that was like that resembled anything like that?
I may be able to draw a little bit of a comparison for you, B-Row. Like, I think I graduated with 4 or 5 other seniors, on our team. So at most programs, if you can graduate half your recruiting class, you're doing pretty good. And this is at almost every program around the country.
Mm-hmm.
This year we're graduating and commissioning 12. So, it was a competitive room, and everyone was kind of bought into the same thing. We knew how special our team was, and we were all on the same page there. But I wouldn't say that we were connected any deeper than let's go win a national title. The connections weren't any deeper than that. But there's no way that you have 12 seniors in your lineup or on your roster, and only 4 of them in the starting lineup if they're not connected to a bigger purpose. So that's the comparison, and the contrast of what we do in our program at West Point and what most programs do. So, what BHAL stands for, what it represents, I think keeps more people in the huddle. They're attached to more than just getting their hand raised at the end of the match.
Yeah, that's an interesting stat. I haven't heard that kind of brought out. I mean, Flo does all kinds of, like, they pull random stats, but I've never heard that one pulled before. But it could really show like how unified a program is by, if you have 15 in the recruiting class, and after 4 years you got 10 or 12. I think for my senior, my first year class, I had 6, 7, 8 guys. Out of, I mean, back then we had probably 25 guys in their initial class back in my heyday. But I could just imagine it. Like, and that's at West Point, where I think it's a little bit different than other programs. I mean, you're probably a little bit more when you're at a normal college, you may not feel as much of a bond because you're not in the same world. You may be going your own way, going your own separate way.
Yeah, that's it. But you know what? It's like And we've had a few people, like, in all honesty, we've had a few people have to take a semester off of the wrestling team for whatever reason, whether it was they needed to get a better handle on their grades, or they needed to make sure that they can meet our requirements with their social life, whatever it is. And then, if they do that, then they come back to the program. And every single one has said, God, it was so much easier when I wasn't wrestling. Like, life, it was so much easier. But then they want to come back. Like, why do you want to come back? It was so much easier without it, so because they miss something, that's whether you can put words to it or not. If you've been a part of it, you can feel it, so they miss that, what our program, has been able to provide for guys, and it's being connected to something that's bigger than just being a part of the team.
Yeah, I was actually one of those who had a semester off situation at one point in my cadet career. I can attest. It was.
Hey, you turned out all right.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot easier that semester. I wasn't on the team.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, as you talked about those 12 seniors that are graduating, it's pretty interesting that we have that high of a number. Is there anything you want to say about a class? This is kind of the first class that's ever been Navy 4 times. They've seen a lot of success. They've had quite a few starters, 5 if you include Lucas Weiland. And, I mean, these guys have done a lot for this program. Do you have anything you want to say to them as kind of your parting thoughts?
Man, I mean, I think what could you not say about this crew? Luke Weiland could have been in the national tournament this year. Alex Hopkins would have been in the NCAA tournament. Alex started wrestling as a freshman in high school, and probably started his career at West Point third or fourth string at 174 pounds, and then ends up 2 years in a row he's ranked in the top 25 at 197 pounds. So talk about growth there. I mean, physically, literally, and then in every single way. I mean, it's just a special senior class. It's the first class. This year's team is the first one that I recruited out of high school and saw them their whole way through. So, that's not it's not anything that I did. It's just, it makes it maybe a little bit more special to me because I've seen them from, I saw Trey Chalafu from a senior in high school that we recruited really hard and see a lot of potential in, and see Luke Weiland recruit him and see the potential, watch him struggle like freaking crazy at the prep school, and then turn into have the career he did and make the dean's list this year. Someone that was had to beg and plead to not get kicked out of the prep school because of his grades. He was like, I can do it. I'll work hard, whatever it takes. Just don't kick me out of here. And now he's going to graduate, and he made the dean's list this year. And he's a guy that never, if you look on paper, should never be at West Point. And he's a 2-year team captain, makes the dean's list. Noah Stewart's a guy that his freshman year, he might not let me tell him this story, but I'll frame it in a way that, Noah, you're going to appreciate how much he's matured. His freshman year, he was all over the place mentally. I think maybe given the option, I'm not saying that he would have gone home, but, he would have considered it, and he's got awesome parents, and his dad was like, he's not coming home. He's not coming home. He's going to stick it out. And then to see him, he's a freaking animal. I was so excited. That's probably the one guy that I thought was really underrated going into the NCAA tournament this year. I thought Noah Stewart was like a freaking animal, and that he would have crushed it. But the way things worked out, he didn't get the chance. And then you have guys that most people haven't heard of. You have Sam Williams. You have David Russell. So you got all these guys, man. I know I'm going to leave some names out, but you got guys that they don't get the headlines, but what they do every day. Luke Hodgson, is they add a lot to our program. So I could go on and on. Here's what you need to know: is they redefined what is possible for our program. So the definition of what's possible is different now than it was 4 years ago, and that's a credit to them. I think that sums it up.
Absolutely. So as it's got to be special as a coach to see these guys you recruited all the way through. And unlike maybe some of the more traditional programs where they go off and get a normal job and, just kind of get into the flow of life, these guys are going to go serve their country again. Some of them are going to do some really amazing things. Some may have long careers in the military, some may short. How proud are you of those guys knowing that you had a piece of their development?
Man, I tell you what, it's humbling, and I tell everybody, Jordan, there haven't been, many occasions since I've been at West Point that bring you to tears, you know, and there have been a couple things, but one that every single year, makes me cry, and I try to hide it, when I'm in the audience, is when we go to their commissioning, and watch them every year. And it's, some of them say, hey, thank you to my coaches, and some don't. It's not about that. It's about seeing how proud everyone is of them for what they're going to do. And then, and it really sets in for me personally that, oh man, this is what it's all about. And you'll have parents or, family, friends come up and say something to you like that about, hey, this is what it's about. So a couple years ago, Russ Parsons, one of his family friends came up to me after the commissioning, and he said, hey, coach, he said, great season. You did a really good job. But, this is your legacy. Congratulations. And he's talking about the seniors. So, to me, that's really, when it boils down to it, that's why you do it. You want to win, yeah, and you hate to lose, and you want to do everything you can to kick everybody's ass. But when it comes down to it in the end, it's a good reminder if that's really what we're doing this for. So it's really special.
So that special day that these guys got coming up, what is that going to look like? I know all the guys remember their graduation day, they remember their commissioning, and this year's obviously very different with the current situation. So what's the plan, and what's it look like for them the next couple weeks?
Man, I can guarantee you these guys are going to remember theirs as well. It's going to be a little bit different. Man, I wish I had some really solid info to share with you guys, but somebody does here at the academy, but I don't. So it's probably not worth regurgitating some rumors that could be true or could not. We know we're having graduation. I think it's the 13th of June. We know President Trump's going to be here. And so that much is set. Seniors are going to come back to West Point. Here's what I do know. Our superintendent, Williams, and he's no stranger to this. We've kind of joked before that he was on the front lines in Africa in the Ebola pandemic, and can you imagine him when he got done with that? And he was like, oh, good, I get to go be the soup now at West Point. And he thinks he's leaving, the pandemic behind, and then here's one. It comes to West Point, New York, but he's not a guy that's unfamiliar with it, right? Sure. We're going to do things right. So, the first and foremost, it's the cadets. Well, when they come back, get this, they're going to graduate. They're already second lieutenants when they graduate. So they're going to commission before they graduate. How that's going to look, I think, is, that's probably not for me to share because I probably don't have all the information, but that's safe to say they're going to be lieutenants before they graduate. So,
I never thought about that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That'll certainly probably be in the book of knowledge someday.
There may be some commissioning regulations. They have to by a certain date, whatever it is. But yeah, what is it going to look like? I don't know. It's going to be different. We know that. It's just kind of the hand that we're dealt. We're going to try to get everybody together if we can. A lot of the Jordan is TBD. We just don't know yet, or it's to be announced. I guess somebody knows, but it's not the wrestling coach.
Sure.
See if I can dig a little bit for my brother.
Yeah, come on, B-Row. I'll let you press me a little harder.
Get the inside scoop, B-Row. Come on now.
What?
I said get the inside scoop for us.
My sister gave me some inside scoop, but I don't know. I got to talk to my brother-in-law because my sister gets everything backwards. So sure. She said they're bringing them back in steps, 250 at a time, and most of them are flying into Newark, and then They're going to Buckner for a couple, and then they're going to be all in like secluded in these barracks. It's like going to be not quarantined, but they're going to be like
Isolated.
separated with a purpose. I don't know. There's some phrase that somebody made up that they're using, but she didn't
there's probably something to that, but I'll just say that the people who are in charge of this, they're smart people and they're empathetic people. So they're going to make the most out of it. They're not going to bring people back and put them in social isolation for 2 weeks. They're going to figure out a way to do it the smartest, but the most, you got to look after the mental fitness of people too. You can't bring them back and put them by themselves for 2 weeks. So they'll find a way to some way socialize and maintain their physical fitness too. If the comm has anything to do with it, they're going to find a way to do PT. I can promise you that. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But B-Row, you might have more inside knowledge on this than I do.
Yeah, possibly. I'm actually going to be up there for it. I'm going to come up the week before, leading up to it, and stay with my sister for a little while.
So right on, come on by. I'll give you an elbow bump. From 6 feet away.
She keeps me more in line of like the gossip around the neighborhood. She's like, "Ooh, this family was out in their front yard and somebody told on them, and now they're in trouble," and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, no kidding. Tell her to stay away from my house.
There's like some, I guess, underground luau's going on. That
we've got 3 kids. I mean, all our kids in our house just have birthdays. They all just turned 5, 3, and 2. Good luck keeping them in the house all day long. So
They're gonna have them.
They don't go to the playground, like the public playground or anything like that. But if anybody wanted to turn me in for having our kids outside running around playing, I might get locked up for a long time.
Taking it back to the wrestling coach, class of 2020 special. Thank you guys. Best of luck. I'm sure whatever graduation looks like, it'll be memorable for you. Cool. And I know you remember the moment that you pull out and see West Point in your rearview mirror. I certainly will never forget that.
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Come on.
No, I go back to West Point like twice a year though. Like I didn't leave that place bitter. I left that place like, this is gonna be fun to visit now.
Jordan, have you been in B-Row's living room lately?
No.
It's like going back to West Point. There's so much memorabilia hanging around. It's like he never left. He's got his singlet hanging up there. As soon as you walk in the door, you see his singlet hanging from the ceiling. No, I'm kidding about that one, but yeah. Funny.
Looking at next year's team, Coach, so did a little data on the roster. So last year's roster, we had 49 guys listed on the website, and 24 of those dudes are from different states. Found that to be a pretty interesting stat. And then looking at some of the recruits for commitments for class of 2020 high school seniors, we had guys from Kansas, Utah, South Carolina, all these kind of states that aren't traditionally looked at as powerhouse states. What is kind of the methodology behind finding some of these guys that maybe kind of under the radar and don't come from traditionally places where you see guys going D1?
Pennsylvania, for example.
I mean, we did have 7 Ohio guys on the team, so shout out for that.
Yeah. Well, B-Row, pay attention because we've got a heavy Pennsylvania class coming in too. And in 2021, we can't talk about, I'm not allowed to talk about any individuals, but sure. we are looking, Jordan, you'll appreciate, at a state a little bit further west than Pennsylvania. But
as you should.
Yeah, right. What's the methodology that goes into recruiting the guys? It's, well, for one, it's no stone unturned, right? And so, I mean, we get emails a lot and we get video a lot. And I watch at least part of every single email and video clip I get. And sometimes that's how it starts is, oh, wow, like, let me know, I see something here. Let's keep a track of them. Like, let's watch this guy for the next 3-4 months and see how they do. But if you look at, the guys that you mentioned, states that maybe aren't recruited as much, if you look at their national results, they're right up there. I mean, they're either nationally ranked or borderline nationally ranked individuals. So, maybe we saw something that hadn't, kind of came to fruition yet in their results. So we want to recruit people that we think can compete to win Division I national titles. And if they're from a non-traditional state, then all right, man, we have something that we can offer that's attractive for them that pretty much no other school in the country can offer. And when we have those conversations and they like it, we like them, then we go full speed ahead. I don't discriminate, northeast, southeast, southwest, whatever, northwest. If you've got what it takes to be successful here, we want you.
Amen to that. Well, that's exciting. I'm excited to see how this team looks coming up this year. And I don't know, did Jordan pop off?
Yeah, he's going to come right back on. There's some technical difficulties in quarantine every now and then. You got to sort out. But you can use this. Hey, since he's not on here right now, this is your time to talk about how much better Pennsylvania wrestling is than Ohio.
Oh, I mean, that's self-explanatory. I don't really need to elaborate on that any further.
You don't even need any time for it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they would be if they would go down to 2 classes, I'd have a better gauge. I feel like realistically on how good Ohio is.
Well, they got 3 classes?
They have 4.
They got 4?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. We'll go with 4 since he's not here on the call right now to refute. No, man, it's no secret. Like if you can recruit PA, New Jersey, and Ohio, then you're gonna have a pretty good team. And so we've been able to do that, and we're digging, into New Jersey now too. So Pennsylvania, Ohio, we've kind of made a living there. We're gonna keep doing it, and keep kind of cherry picking out of some other state, Southeast, down in the South and the Midwest, the far West, but. What it boils down to, B-Row, is we've got something that we can offer. It's like we always belong in the recruiting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can go in anybody's living room and we belong there, no matter who they are, no matter where they're looking at. Now, if they're not interested, they're not interested. All right. Well, if a few people aren't interested, but most of the time they just don't know that they're interested. So you got to talk to them about, here's what we can offer at West Point. Are you interested in these things? Yes. You're like, okay, well, you're going to wear a different uniform to class. It's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, Jordan's having some issues, but I think he's trying to get on. So the next topic. So this whole podcast kind of started with you initiating that topic on the alumni page about getting class reps. And so when I commented on there with my usual GIF of the, guy going in the car being in, I said Troy, Troyal, we call Jordan Troyal. So if you hear me say Troyal on the pod, right. It'll be, that's who I'm referring to. But he messaged me and he goes like, hey, he's like, I've been sitting home for like 2 weeks doing nothing. We need to start a B-Hall podcast. And so it all kind of started off that topic. So, if you could elaborate further on like what your intent is from that. And I think I kind of know what it is because we've had this discussion before, but for the listeners, what are you looking at to get, with a class rep affiliate or however?
Well, here's what we got to do is we've done a good job with alumni outreach. But we can do better. But, when you take classes like, take this year, for instance, if you take 12 and last year 10 or year before 14 seniors, it's a lot of people to keep up with. I need some help. That's what I'm saying is I need some people that, care about the program as much or more than a coach does to reach out to their classmates and other people who care about the program and help, spread the good word about Army wrestling. So hopefully, that's my intent. That's my idea is if we can create these, they're like the social influencers, of Army wrestling. So if they can keep spreading the word just, within our tight knit community, it'll help us because we're doing a good job. We've got a lot of alumni support. We raise a good amount of money. People are incredibly supportive, but we can do better. And when I look at, hey, what can I do better as a head coach? That's one of the areas that I think I can do. And then I realize, man, I can't do that all by myself. It'd be nice to have some help. So that was the impetus on maybe I can find some class reps. We got a good response. I think about 30 of them. So, this program is in development, and we're about, ready to hit the gas and go full speed ahead with it. That we'll rely on some people within the program, so grads from within our network to help influence and keep everybody else in touch.
Yeah, I think it's weird because I feel like West Pointers in particular just get more busy, and it's like you lose contact, and moving from one duty station to the next. Like I can remember at each place I was super close with so many different people, and now I don't have contact with them at all. And not just wrestlers, but just I think that's how it works in the military. You become super close with the community you're with. And sometimes you lose ties with some of those guys. And I remember talking to like Matt Ross, he'd be telling me about, a guy he practiced, one of his practice partners every day and, hung out with every day. And he's like, oh yeah, I haven't talked to that guy in 15 years. And it's like, man, that's one of your best friends from college you haven't talked to, in that long.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of people like that. So I think getting one rep per class, and kind of having them as a marker is a good idea.
Yeah, because it's like, when Matt Ross gets back together with that guy, it's gonna be like they never missed a day, right? They see each other, it's like, man, you haven't talked in 15 years, but we didn't miss a beat. And that's cool. That's a cool relationship to have. But at the same time, you're like, well, maybe it doesn't have to be 15 years, maybe it can be 15 months. That's an improvement. So that's my idea. Let's bring everybody together, right?
Yeah. So we got Jordan back on for the viewers that don't have the opportunity to watch the video. Jordan, can you hear me?
I got you.
Oh, your picture is frozen on my end, so it just looks like you're looking down the whole time. I was like, man, he's pretty upset.
No, he's looking at me, B-Rose. It's just every time you start talking, he puts his head down. He doesn't want to pay attention.
I'm having some serious issues, but that's all right. We'll drive on.
Can we get an IT or a cyber guy added to this podcast? Let's work these things out.
Who's that signal guy? He's
probably busy.
I'm not sure he was, but I feel like he definitely knows what he's doing in the signal world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, Coach, something that the people want to know, obviously, is we heard the rumors about the facility. I think it was almost a year ago now.
Maybe more. Yeah.
Where are we at on that? And if it's not a matter of just starting the construction, is there something specific that's kind of holding it up?
Yeah, I guess if you wanted to boil it down to, something specific, we've got to get the cost of it right. And we've got to make sure we got the money in the bank to proceed with it. So, we've got the firm. We've had several architectural drawings. These aren't just, plans, but these are legit drawings and 3D renderings of what the facility is going to look like. And it's sick. But it's been a slow process just because of some of the way that the money flows and some of the red tape that you have to cross to do it. And so the first estimate comes back a little bit higher than we wanted it to. Okay, well, you got to go back and you got to rework it, and then we start running into so what was that, mid-March? So those conversations probably happened in late January, early February. And then mid-March, we're put the brakes on everything. So I guess the most information I can give you is everything that I've seen about it is awesome. Man, it's sick. It's a game changer. It's just that it's probably going a little bit slower than we wanted it to right now. Just, and the COVID situation doesn't help. So we've already had a really I would say inspiring, like a really motivating response from alumni. We've raised, quite a bit of money already, and there's more in the works, but it's just kind of finalizing the plans before we punch the gas on a full capital campaign to make sure we get it funded. Because what we want to do is we don't want to build a facility and rush to build an average facility, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't want to rush to get one that's pretty good. When we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. It's like we're in an awesome facility where we're at right now, but it won't be as awesome in 10 years. So we're planning for the future, and when this thing happens, man, it's going to be a game changer for us.
Sure. Absolutely want to do it right the first time, that's for sure. Where
Cool.
exactly is it tentatively planned to be built at?
Yeah, well, I mean, not tentatively. It's certainly planned to be. So the old lacrosse center that's called Truxton. So it's kind of a two-phase project. One of them is renovating the existing Truxton facility, like where you wouldn't even recognize that it was what it is now. So you have to have some imagination when you drive by it. But Truxton is behind Foley, the indoor football practice facility.
Hmm.
All right, so it's up there. It's like 200 yards from Mikey Stadium. It's up there inside the Mikey Stadium footprint. So we'll renovate Truxton, turn that into the operations home of our program. That'll include team room, locker room, coaches' offices, meeting rooms, everything you need, to operate. And then behind it, where there's an open space, we'll build a wrestling room, house formats, cardio equipment, everything that you need to be able to train. So when it happens, like I said, the renderings are pretty sick. It's going to be a first-class facility, one of the best in the country for sure. So, and it's at a really cool location. Like we'll walk out of the wrestling room, and if you can imagine a football Saturday, you walk 200 yards and you're there at the football stadium. It's pretty cool.
The facility sounds like it's gonna be legit.
The facility is going to be great. Here's one of the cool things we're going to have in front of the facility. We're going to have room for when you guys come back to watch a football game, where we'll have room to set up a mat out there to have alumni wrestling matches, B-row, JT, best 2 out of 3. I don't know who's going to ref it yet, but I'm sure somebody will volunteer for that.
Willie
We'll
Simpson will volunteer him. He'll be.
Well, yeah, we'll have a barbell set up next to it where you guys can challenge Chandler Smith to who can squat 700 pounds. It'll be a lot of fun, man. It'll be fun to have everybody back. But, on that note, seriously, though, who's going to win those best 2 out of 3 takedowns?
Oh, I'll destroy him in a takedown match. I'll get out of him on bottom, too. He's a big top guy. I'll choose bottom.
It depends what rule set we go on. So if we're allowing danger rule, I'm kind of screwed.
Dude, I'm so much bigger than you.
Listen, there's no weight classes in the jungle. All right?
It's funny you say that. So you were talking about Noah Stewart earlier.
Yeah.
So him and who was the other guy? Oh, I can't remember. They came down to Fort Stewart for their summer CTLT.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, let's go wrestle. So mid-June, mid-July, hot summer in Savannah, we head up to this little 5x5 wrestling mat. I was like, yeah, I'll roll around with you guys. I thought they were like 57, 65 pounders. And I'm like 155 pounds. I'm like, all right, they're not that big. This dude goes as hard as he can. He's like smashing me. Come to find out, he's like what is he, 84 pounder?
Yeah, and he got big in the summer too. He was
probably he was huge. And he was talking mad trash. He was getting all upset. He was choking. It was hysterical.
He couldn't get out on bottom though, could he?
No, he got out. He's tough.
He's tough. As good as he is, he's gonna leave. He's gonna graduate here in a couple of weeks with 0 takedowns on Coach Ward. So I want that.
Woo!
I want that printed. I want it saved to the archives. That should have gone in the class yearbook. Can you believe a career like his, top 20, top 15 in the country? I think one of the 10 best guys on any given day, could have definitely been one of the 8 best guys. No, couldn't take me down. No matter what, couldn't take me down. Always had to choose top in the second period to get to try to get some back points. Could never take me down.
Old man strength.
I got that mind control on him.
it's yeah. So how's your family like West Point? You know, are they you've been there for a while now. Are they settled in completely? Or any
Well, for more than half of our family, it's all they've ever known. You know, I mean, so when I moved here, like I said, I showed up in August. Well, Hannah was still finishing up nursing school in Arkansas, so she stayed back and finished up school. She didn't move here until January. So I was up here that first August to January by myself. I had a dog and a futon, I think, and I hung out at Tony's Pizza a lot. but that was it. So all three of our kids are born here. So for more than half the family, it's all they've ever known. But yeah, I mean, we adjust. It's a cool community. Now it's different. Like when you're a coach and you're living, on an Army post, that's different, and that took some adjusting. And Hannah's made some good friends, but as you know, the nature around West Point is you make good friends and they leave. So that's been tough. But it's it's a safe community. It's really good people, great schools. So yeah, we really like it a lot.
Yeah, so the Andersons are moving. That's I feel like they just got there.
I know, didn't they? They just got here, but I mean, that's what happens with good people. So that's one of the challenges with any program, but I think especially here, like your best people probably leave fastest because somebody else wants them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the quicker they get promoted, the less time you have with them. So yeah, but happy for John and his family. They get to go back to Colorado, and I think it's pretty cool. He's taking a battalion command, if I understand. So or he's in line to do that. So career wise, what he told me, what was really cool, John was like, man, he said, I'm really conflicted because, my goal is to be an Olympic champion. But what I love to do is to lead soldiers and impact soldiers. And when I take command, that's an opportunity to do it. So that's what he wants to do. And I said, you don't owe me an explanation. You don't owe us an apology. It's like, it's what you signed up for. It's what you love to do. And he loves the Army and wants to go impact lives and lead soldiers. So good for him. Sucks for our program. We'll find somebody else good. But, I mean, you're not going to replace John Anderson. I know that much.
Yeah.
Ain't going to replace that smoke.
No. We wanted the smoke. That's the thing. We want that smoke, John. We're like, come on, another year. We want that smoke. But, yeah, as it works out.
I remember Chuck Barbie used to say, when John was firstie, he'd be like, you guys can do this too. John doesn't just have to be the guy that smokes everybody and gets everybody tired. And we all looked at each other and we're like, there's no way we could get in any kind of shape. There's no way that you could replicate what John Anderson can do to somebody.
Is that your best Chuck Barbie voice, or can you do better?
I don't know, man. That's, that John Anderson, he can put the smokes on a few guys. That's probably the best one I got. Willie Simpson's got a good Chuck voice.
We got to get him on the show sometime.
Oh yeah, on our logo, actually, you can see in my background. There's barbed wire on there. That's for Chuck. That's barbed wire. Chuck Barbie's barbed wire.
Little subtle reference in there.
Hopefully, he tunes in sometime.
Get him on the show.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
All right, so before we go, what Jordan?
Yeah, so we got some vocabulary we want to test you on, Coach Ward. And I think you're going to do better than I originally thought, because you've been throwing around some stuff that shocked me. But
Redcon 1.
We're calling this bit West Point-isms with Ward.
All right.
So for the first one, you ready?
I'm a little nervous. Am I upheld to the honor code here too, or can I Google some of these as we're talking about it?
I don't care what you do. If you don't know it, then we'll just pass.
All right.
These are. I wouldn't say they're super easy, but they're not super hard either. But I'm partial.
All right, here we go. We're gonna jump right in. So John Anderson just put on the smokes on somebody at practice. They're exhausted. They're like, Coach, I'm gonna go back to my room and I'm gonna cuddle up with my green girl. What are they talking about?
That's the blanket.
Woo!
1 point Ward.
Yep. Well, I'm 1-0. I'm up 2-0 right now. Takedown.
All right. what do you think of when you hear what's the poop deck?
That's the stage in the mess hall, the second level. But let me tell you what, I've never been. No one's been able to explain to me why it's called the poop deck. No one has been able to define that for me. So maybe that's a question for the next guest.
Ooh, that's a good one for an oldie.
Yeah, I don't even know why it's called the poop deck. I've never been up there. Have you been up there, Jordan?
No.
I floated a few times. That's actually not a question on there, but bonus question on there. Do you know what a floater is?
I just gave up an escape. I was feeling pretty good about where I was at. Now I just got swung on. No.
A floater is when you when you're eating at the mess hall and there's not enough spot. They don't bring your table. They don't allow your table, so you have to go to the poop deck and get floated.
Man, I knew that. I should have known that one.
All right, so it's 2-1 then. Ward's still up. We'll go to the next one.
That was also kind of an unfair one because that one wasn't actually prepared. I just kind of thought of the floater.
Hey, man, I should have been ready. You know what? Should have been ready.
All right, here we go. What does it mean if someone was to ask you, how's the cow?
Man, don't they go into some dissertation about how the cow is or is that leather? Am I going on with the leather? Does the
You're
cow
pretty darn close either way.
I'll give it to him because it's the same thing. You know, it's funny because everyone always says how's the cow, but I don't think they have to memorize that anymore. I don't think I had to memorize that. Like it wasn't in the knowledge, but you still had to memorize it. When I was
she walks, she talks, she's full of chalk. She lactates to the something degree.
Yeah, the lacteal acid or something. We're messing this up. We're gonna have to redo it. No. Okay.
You've got your diploma. You don't have to know that anymore.
Do you know
I'm giving it to him. It's 4-1.
Have you ever heard of a tea bucket?
Dang. Actually, no. Doesn't even ring a bell.
Further than that, but I just want to know see if you knew what a tea bucket was.
Doesn't even ring a bell. Maybe it's something I shouldn't know about.
Yeah, we'll move on from that one.
All right, keep it going.
What is flirty walk or where?
You're talking about that trail through the woods down from North Dock up to Trophy Point area?
That's right.
Isn't that where you and B-Row took your first walk together? That's what Brian told me.
Come on now.
What does it mean to buy and fly?
To buy and fly. I'm going to take a guess, but I'm going to act like I know what it means. Does that mean like you're Brad Solon for aviation, something like that?
That
means like
I buy you fly. What would they mean by that?
All right. Yeah, you buy the gas, I'm driving, something like that.
I would say your common sense took over there, but the West Point-ism, in this reference, it's, your cadet roommates or your friends, one person decides, hey, I'll buy it, but you got to go to Grand Turnaround and pick it up.
Oh, all right. I got you there. You're talking about getting that dong fong delivered.
That dong fong. That's right. All right, it's 4-2. This should be an easy one. What is the Soch run?
Oh, they got to turn in that paper at the end of the year. So dress up, sprint, make it there just in the nick of time. The Soch run. That's a good one.
Yep, that's right. So now you got 6-2 going into OT.
Brian Harvey, I'm going to tell you, Brian Harvey, as one of the village people in the shortest things that could still be called shorts, running in to turn in his Soch paper was one of the all times. So I don't even know if they can get away with calling them shorts, but they had some fringe at the bottom where he cut off his jeans. So I think they gave it to him. That one will forever be seared in my mind.
Yeah, I saw there were some videos that surfaced this year when they were turning them in virtually that were not funny. I wasn't very amused.
No, I gave them some points for credit on that one.
They tried.
So I don't think we have any more questions on the dock. I mean, the last one, I really just wanted to know what's your favorite Highland Falls restaurant, unless you can come up with one off the cuff, Jordan.
Nah, I'm gonna leave him go with the victory.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it's Tony's Pizza because they adopted me like their straight child for the first 6 months I lived here. I tell everybody I had like 2 meals, and I would go on a steady rotation of either fresh Tony's Pizza or leftover Tony's Pizza, and and that was pretty much the diet that I was on for that first 6 months I lived here before Hannah moved up here. So that's a no-brainer.
Why did you choose? Was it just because it was the closest restaurant when you
You
walk up?
really want to know? Okay, you want to know the story? I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how we really found it. So, our golf tournament's in September, our golf outing. So I'd been here 4-5 weeks, something like that. So I called a couple of my buddies from Oklahoma, and I'm like, hey, you guys need to come up and play in our first golf outing. So they do. So we play golf. We play 18 holes, and then everybody leaves, and we start talking trash to each other. We go play like another 18 holes together, and we're having a good time, right? And then we leave, and it's like, well, we got to eat dinner. So we pull up to Brothers Pizza because I didn't know any better, and we walk in there, and we're the only ones, and the guy behind the counter like doesn't even acknowledge us. So we're, well, let's leave here. So we get back in the truck and we drive somewhere else, and we drive down there to Tony's or Southgate, and we walk in, and they've got the arcade game Big Buck Hunter there. So we were like, oh, it's on, so then we had a Big Buck Hunter tournament like all night long there at Southgate. So that was my first experience there. So we had a good time. I used to crush it on Big Buck Hunter too. They got rid of it, but I was the champ. And we had some pizza and wings, so we hung out there, and then I couldn't break. I liked it so much I had to keep going back. That's the real story.
I feel you. I'm a Tony's guy myself.
How was the Shades? I love Shades. Oh, they're party pizzas.
Man, we do Shades a lot with the wrestling team. They do a good job on that chicken fettuccine, and they hook us up. So we do some Shades for like team meals. But when it comes to pizza, and I want to go just hang out, like when you guys come into town, if we want to go hang out and grab some pizza, we're going to Tony's.
We're ringing the new year.
Can you talk to like Mr. Tony, see if he wants to be a sponsor of the podcast?
I can bring that up next time. He helps us out with the golf outing. They give us some gifts. Yeah. They're supporters of our program.
This episode is brought to you by Dong Fong, though. Awesome. Well, it was good to have you on the show today, Kevin. We're excited to get this thing situated and get this thing running. Happy Memorial Day for anybody who's listening on the day that this comes out. We're gonna premiere it then.
Well, man, I'm pumped about what you guys are doing. I'm even more pumped about how you're showing your love of the program and helping spread the good word. So I'm looking at getting back together, and we'll chat Army Wrestling anytime. Like if we want to do this, it's a weekly thing. If you decide there's a lot more interesting people than me, and I'll talk to you once or twice a year, that's fine too. But I appreciate you guys. Love what you're doing. Thanks for repping the program.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have you on as much as the people want. If they want to hear more from you, we'll keep doing this all the time. Really, we want to do what the people want. What the alumni and the fans and the coaches and the athletes and parents want.
Cool.
This.
So on that note, comment below, send a message on the Instagram page, whatever it is. Let us know what you want. We're here for the people.
We're the people. Hey, I appreciate having you there, Coach.
Cool. You guys be good.
Awesome. Have a good one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Bhaw Radio Show. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. If there's something you'd like to hear on a future show, reach out to us on any of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Or you can reach us at email, bhaw.radio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and as always, go Army, be Navy.